Cord. Is Jeannie okay? Jeannie all right? I know she likes us to get going. But, a little shop talk never hurt nobody.
Never hurt no one, ever.
All right, Brian. Now we go.
Sounds good.
Here goes the show. It starts in 3, 2, 1.
I can't cover my tinkler without leaving my bum uncovered, but if I cover my bum, my tinkler is lewdly exposed.
Doc says something's wrong with my semen.
This is the Morning Stream with Scott Johnson and Brian Ibbett. The sensation of Europe, now made in America by Samsonite.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to TMS. It is the Morning Stream. Today is October 8th, and it's still 2019. I'm Scott Johnson. That guy right over there is Brian Ibbett. Hi, Brian.
That's right. For at least another 2.5 months, we still have to put up with 2019.
I know people get sick of me talking about time and stuff, but 2019 has just gone so fast for me. Just so fast. Just feels like it was yesterday we were in Vegas. That was April. That feels like 5 minutes ago. Like, I don't get it.
I know.
I don't get it.
And it's probably already time for us to start figuring out what's happening next year. I know we've got a couple irons in the fire, and obviously I'm not going to talk about them here on the show. But
but don't you guys worry. 2020 will have some shit. That'll be a thing for sure. We don't know what.
Probably part of it will be ding ding boom dong 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 dong. That's a pinball machine noise.
Oh yeah.
No, not a slot machine.
Oh, okay. Phew.
Pinball machine noise.
Okay.
Although maybe both. Who knows?
Who knows? It could be both. Why can't it be both? Hey, anyway.
Everything.
It can be everything. It's good to have you all here, and we're happy to be doing a show. That's a thing we do here on the regular, as you know. As you may be familiar, that's what we do. And we're excited to be here. Now, I got a dream to first articulate and then have discuss so that you can try to make sense of what I saw. Okay?
I love it. Yeah, because, it's a common thing here that we'll talk about our dreams, and then we'll try and figure out which things were actual elements that we thought about that day or that came up that day, and which things are just completely out there wacko stuff that got inserted in.
Yes, exactly. It's a service we provide here on the show. And when we say dreams, we're not talking about one day I'll be a real boy or any of that. I mean,
right. We're not talking about the I have a dream. We're talking about the I had a dream.
No, nothing that affects human beings in meaningful ways. So here's what happened. I had a dream that during the entirety of the dream, and I'm pretty sure the whole thing took place in about a 5-minute span in actual time, but in my head it was a long, stretched out period of time.
It's the most amazing thing.
Isn't that the weirdest thing that our brains do? It's so weird to me.
Yeah. It's like, God, I feel like I've been asleep forever, and you look over and you've really been asleep for like 2 minutes.
It's like that thing where Neo injects kung fu into his head. Because you're basically taking a thing that takes a bunch of time and then just saying one snapshot all at once, here it is. And then in this case, our perception is, that was like a 5-hour dream, but really it was less than a second, maybe even, for all I know. Like, it's just crazy to me. Anyway, it's like a hard drive. So I'm in this dream. It begins and ends exactly the same way. I am in it to begin with, floating in a huge river, but kind of an underground cavernous river. I don't know why that matters, but it was like, covered, almost like a love tunnel sort of thing.
You couldn't see. Did you say love tunnel?
Yeah, like the one. What are those called? The tunnel of love. The
the amusement park ride.
Yeah. I didn't mean like a vaginal canal. Is that what you thought I meant?
That's what people usually mean when they say the love tunnel.
I didn't know. I guess I don't use that very often. Well, anyway, so it's like the scene in Willy Wonka where it's all and it's getting bigger and blah blah. And they're doing that. It's like that.
The rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing.
That actually scary moment in that movie. Yes.
Right, exactly. So okay, you're looking up and you don't see sky. You see the ceiling of a cave or whatever you're in.
Yeah, and it's well lit,
Gotcha.
and it's doing that thing where on the edges of the river, and it's slow moving, but on the edges of the river, it's doing that kind of sparkly light refraction on the sides of the walls.
Sure.
So it's all very it's very tonal. There's a tone to it, but the river is a river of pork ribs, and the goo that pork ribs cook in, like not
Sauce,
just
barbecue sauce.
yeah, like the the goo. Yes, the barbecue sauce. Thank you. Like really thick, like thick red, crimson, goopy barbecue sauce, and then just tons of pork ribs, and they're normal size, but they're all individual. They're like, I don't know, about the size of a big candy bar, and
Sure,
they're
okay.
floating
So
everywhere.
a bunch of bones in the love tunnel, right? A
Yeah,
bunch of
bones
in the
and
love tunnel,
bones
right?
and meat in the love tunnel.
Sure.
Oh, thanks, dear. She goes, sorry, that was really bad timing.
Wow,
Thank you,
that
honey.
was-
If you'd heard,
or perfect timing.
yeah, she brought me my other glasses I was missing. Anyway, so I'm in this river of I was in this river full of meat, of pork ribs.
Yeah.
And it's definitely got the smell of pork ribs, and I'm remembering all from the dream. I don't normally remember smells in a dream, but man, do I remember this one. Just the smell of hot cooking pork ribs, and I'm floating in it kind of on my back, staring up, and there are other people in there with me.
Okay.
And I don't recognize
You're not on
anyone.
a vessel or anything, right?
No.
You're just like floating, like you're doing the backstroke in a pool or something.
Yeah, or you ever see people like in the they do it here in the Great Salt Lake, but like in the Middle East, the Dead Sea, people float in the salt water,
right,
and
sure.
it kind of keeps them buoyant. That's how it felt, as I'm being buoyed
Gotcha,
up
okay.
by meat.
By meat, by ribs.
Yeah, but I do remember. I remember the feeling that I had on like a long sleeve shirt and full length pants, and the feeling of all of that just kind of sucking to your skin from all the goo you're in. I had that feeling's still very prominent in my mind. All right, so these are all aspects we're going to try to decipher here, but the important bit is it's also full of other people, and we're all sort of floating around each other and past each other. No one's speaking. I don't recognize anyone, but they're all humming the tune of the elevator music that's playing. And the elevator music that's playing is a selection of 90s alternative, but done in elevator style.
Sure.
So like it's
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
yes, that's it.
Da, da, da.
I mean, I don't remember Green Day in particular, but that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So
Really? Okay.
it's like everybody from I do remember like some Nirvana tracks that were done. That I do specifically those, but the rest of it just felt like a hodgepodge of 90s alternative rock done in that style of elevator music, and it's playing like an echoey elevator music. They're like almost like their speakers way up in the cave. They're just sort of barely playing.
Sure, but you're hearing the reverb off of the walls of the cave.
Yeah, so it's a little echoey, and people are going like they're humming it as they float down the river and stare at the ceiling.
Oh,
Now
love
this
okay.
this is the entire dream. There was no moment of anything. Nobody jumped out. Nobody said anything. It didn't end with anything. It was
Sure.
just front to back,
Just
and
the whole time traveling down the river of ribs.
yeah, and not entirely unpleasant, I might add. It was
Okay.
it was okay. It wasn't like I was uncomfortable or wanted to get out of there, except for that feeling of your clothes sticking and like adhering to your body in a way that was like compressing and kind of weird. I didn't like that. I don't know why that was happening. But anyway, so thoughts, feelings? Where do you think my head went there?
Okay, well, have you had ribs? Let's go with the food choice first. Have you had ribs recently, or been thinking about eating ribs? Like
Kim made pork
taco
ribs.
ribs?
1 week and about 2 days ago. I had pork ribs that Kim
Okay.
made. Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of.
And,
And they
all
were
right.
barbecued,
It's got-
and sort of saucy or whatever.
you were in
so-
their goo in that sauce. Okay.
Yeah, and they were great. They were really good.
All right. So you were thinking about those, or at least those happened to pass through the back of your mind.
Yes, chat room.
the
The
cave.
love tunnel was ribbed. Yes. Now,
Oh, that's great, Free Rangers.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
nice.
fantastic.
nicely done. Anyway,
The elevator music. I mean, that your mind's gonna say, okay, there needs to be a sound in here, and for whatever reason, 90s alternative has been on your mind, but instead of it being heavy, you're wanting a more calming influence to kind of go, or calming style to go with the fact that you're floating slowly down this river of ribs. So that kind of makes sense.
I did, and I have been, if I'm full disclosure here, I've been listening to a lot of old 311. I've been listening to, you brought up Green Day.
I know
It's fine,
Live
but-
came up because we.
Oh, yeah, Live.
about
That's
Live.
right. I've been listening to that Live album like
Yeah.
crazy since the other day.
Yeah.
That was your fault, by the way. Totally your fault.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll totally take responsibility for that. Totally fine.
I've been throwing copper for a week. It's crazy.
Have you now? Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
But then I also
boy.
listened to American Idiot about 4 times over, maybe a week ago. So I mean, it's not like I've been devoid of this music. That might be part of that. Because that's what it is sometimes, right? Our brains are just farting. They're just going.
Exactly. They're just. It's basically like little dangling memories, like trapezes, and your brain is just hopping from one to the other. It's like, oh, there's one. Grab that. Oh, there's that one, and it just kind of goes and kind of intertwines all these to make a story in your dream.
And it's
your narrative.
important that these things get flushed, because if Star Trek Next Generation taught me anything, the crew will just kill each other if no one can sleep or dream. Right?
Oh, yes. If you don't dream, yes. So Dr. Crusher will tell us all about REM sleep, and unfortunately, Troy's going to be the only one who's actually dreaming, but she's having nightmares about some voice telling her about one thing star wrapped around another star, and
See, that's science. Science, all of it's science.
Exactly.
All right.
Wow,
so you
that's
just think
crazy.
this is nonsense then? Just nonsense, and it doesn't mean.
Well, I
anything.
mean, what else do you think it's portending? Like some sort of fate, like it's a harbinger of doom that you need to translate to
Well, if this had an
solve a
ending,
riddle.
if this had an ending to it, like I don't know, the river poured out into everyone's death, or something like
Right.
that, then I could probably say, well, if you don't improve your food choices, you're not gonna live forever. Better eat, maybe
I
that,
see.
maybe that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about this in relation to your blood test results. Did you get your blood test results?
No, they're still not. Oh, you know what? Let's do a live email check right now. I'm supposed to get an email
Okay,
with
all
a
right.
link to the results. Let's just see if it's come in overnight. Because as of yesterday, nothing. They
Wow.
were supposed to be yesterday, but labs, they take forever.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any connection we can make, it's that you're stressing and worrying about this blood test, and the jibber jabber of diabetes that they've been talking about, and
Yeah, this is
the
a really.
river of pork ribs would certainly contribute to that issue.
You're not wrong about any of that, so that's a really good point. Let's see. Okay, as of now, no, there is no new
Okay,
email,
all
so
right.
I guess we can't reveal the results here on the show yet. But we'll find out later.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Well, there you go. I was just
Cool.
curious if anybody know. And look, if you've got thoughts beyond Brian and I's discussion, you want to send in your thoughts, send us an email, themorningstream@gmail.com, and tell us what you think. Even if your
Maybe you've
email
got one of
is
those fancy dream books. I know we've got one of those downstairs here somewhere. The books that each noun that you can think of has a line in this dream book, and it's like, oh, you thought about a deck of cards. That means that you're blah 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 blah. And it comes up with all these things that each element in your dream could possibly mean.
I didn't. That's crazy. I didn't know that even existed.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Tina brought that
Here's-
into our marriage.
Here's a cool website called dreambible.com.
Okay, it's probably the web version of the book.
Probably. All right, so let's see. Well, this is interesting. It's going to give me
Okay, look up
Common-
pork ribs.
so
Actually, probably cave. Cave is probably a good one to look up, because, that's an element that. All right, why are you in a cave? Is it confining? Is it the fact that it's not open? You've got one way to go. Basically, you're on this river, and it's taking you the direction it needs to go.
Oh, here it is. Okay, let's read it. Cave. To dream of a cave represents mental or emotional retreat, sanctuary, or psychological safe haven. Caves symbolize the manner in which you think to escape problems or prevent yourself from feeling pain or harm to the ego. Excuse me. Often a symbol that appears during a transition or upsetting situation. Introversion, avoiding people, or choosing to spend time by yourself. sorry, is choosing to do nothing except be by yourself, feeling that you are, feeling that it's important to be by yourself. Positivity. Dreaming about a cave may reflect your wish to have a psychologically safe haven all to yourself. Negatively, dreaming about a cave may represent feelings about choosing to be alone, feeling that nobody likes you, or feeling that socializing is too emotionally dangerous. Powerful insecurities that you are retreating to avoid abusing or exposing. Here's the final bit.
Wow.
Feeling that you have no choice about being alone, feeling ugly and not wanted to be around, or feeling ugly and not wanting to be around other people. Fear that motivates you to isolate yourself. So maybe I want to be isolated.
The good
but
and
with
the bad of dreaming of caves.
maybe I want to be isolated to have all the pork ribs for myself.
Right. All the pork ribs and Green Day that you can handle. Yeah.
I looked up pork.
Gosh, amazing how this dreambible.com website, whatever it is, can find both a positive and a negative thing that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that it's just like horoscopes, basically. Well, your day might be good or it might be bad.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago. It was a psychology course in college that sealed the deal for me. But I took this class where she had us all fill out a survey. The teacher did. And then she collected them all. And at the front of the class, she shuffled through them and then pulled one out at random and says, all right, I want the person I'm about to read yours. When I'm done, I want you to raise your hand if this is you. And she read this thing. And I went, oh my gosh, she got mine, dude. I can't believe she got mine. And she kept reading and she keeps mentioning it. I'm like, oh my, holy shit, she got mine. My first day in this class, I have to be the guy that raises a hand, blah, blah, blah. So she gets done and I go to raise my hand kind of reluctantly because I didn't want to really participate in this way. Everybody's hands went up. Woof. And that was the day I went.
Wait a minute. We all feel nervous and we all feel alone in a brand new place. And
yeah. Right. And we all realized at this exact time, and it was actually a life-changing experience for me, that those things are horseshit. And everybody was, you can do this and fool people. And I went, my brain suddenly went, 1,000 examples I can think of where people do this to each other. Faith healers on a stage with 1,000 people watching. Whatever. Everyone's getting fooled. You're all getting fooled.
Advertising. Oh, you need this because your life is incomplete without it. Holy crap! They're talking about my life.
Yeah, it's so relatable.
I need these plastic window well covers, or else my life will be incomplete.
Yeah. So that's when I just changed my attitude toward everything. Changed. I changed my thinking about all sorts of stuff. I'm not that I'm some enlightened human being. I'm certainly not. But that kind of stuff just
how difficult. Yeah. How difficult would it be for you the next time you go to a Chinese restaurant and they bring you fortune cookies at the end? Break open the cookie, take the fortune out, wad it up into a paper ball, and flick it across the table without looking at it, and eat the cookie.
Do that.
Can you do it? Can you do it, or do you we're drawn to have to read those stupid fortunes because we came in a cookie that said fortune cookie? They're not even a real Chinese thing.
I mean, I could do it, but I would only do it because
It'd be kind of hard not to, right?
Yeah, I would only throw it away because you challenged me to.
Yeah.
And even then, there's a temptation to want to know what it said.
Sure.
Even though I know 100% that stuff's bullshit and always has been.
100% fake garbage, applies to everyone nonsense. Those lucky numbers won't win you the lottery and any of that stuff. But yeah, no, it's a weird compulsion that we have, I think, as humans to want something else to give us the deeper meaning and the answers to our questions, and we'll only ever find them in ourselves.
Yeah. Well, here, okay, I looked up pork on the Dream Bible just for fun here.
Did you really? Is there a listing for pork?
There is a listing for pork. It says, to dream of pork represents situations where something is only for you, having something all to yourself, knowing that you don't have to share. It's interesting because this river's full of other people, so I don't know if this holds up.
Yeah.
Behavior that is focused completely on personal benefit, noticing yourself doing whatever you want all the time. Negatively, although that sounds negative, says negatively, pork may reflect too much indulgence on yourself or overspending. I did buy
much indulgence.
I bought a Switch Lite. Maybe this is finally coming back.
It's pork futures is the problem.
It was a little indulgenty. Give me a keyword. I want to search for any keyword. Just think of a thing they probably don't have here, and I'm going to search for it. What would you do?
Tape measure.
Tape. Oh my gosh, dude. They have it. Okay.
You dream on a tape measure. Okay.
A tape
You feel
measure.
like you don't measure up.
It says a tape measure or measuring tape represents your attempt to measure or feel the strength of severity of a situation. Alternatively, a measuring tape may reflect your preparation for final research, doing something, figuring out how much emotion, aggression, or work is required to reach your goal.
Oh my God, the other day I was trying to figure something out. So that totally is why I was dreaming about a tape measure.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, okay, I'm not going to read this because it's 9 miles long.
Uh-huh.
Penis.
What's the word?
Penis.
It's a 9-mile long penis.
It's really a long description. Oh, wow. They really go deep with this. No pun intended. All right. Dream Bible, everybody. Dream Bible.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Wow.
That's a fun little thing to find, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what else is fun to find? That Scott was actually
I
right.
think if you dream of penis, you dream of penis.
You do. You do.
Yeah.
I mean, they have paragraphs of descriptions here, but at the end of the day, it's just dreaming of a penis.
I can't get the I Dream of Jeannie song out of my head.
That's true. So speaking of things that are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Tell me
we
about
watched,
that.
So based on your recommendal, Tina and I watched Unbelievable, the Netflix limited series, 8-episode limited series. Just finished it, and man, loved it. Really, really good. You were not overselling it at all. It's a very
It's fantastic. Oh.
It is. It's so well acted. Merritt Weaver can do no wrong, in my opinion. I mean, we fell in love with her during Nurse Jackie, when she was on Nurse Jackie, and saw her on New Girl and
Walking Dead. She got a
Walking
bad.
Dead.
She took a bad arrow in Walking Dead.
Oh, she did. She really got the shaft in Walking Dead. But,
well, she had an eye for it, so it's fine.
got
Got the shaft.
Anyway.
Got the eye. Anyway, I'm with you.
Anyway, she's such a talented actress, and Toni Collette is great. But the whole story, this thing, and the girl who plays Marie, I can't remember her name, but this whole story is just so sad. The fact that it's based on a true story. Tina actually recognized this as we were watching. She said, "Oh my God, this was an episode of This American Life that actually made her cry in her car while she was driving, listening to this." This story.
I'd heard it as well and didn't realize the connection until I'd seen the entire show, and then somebody pointed it out, and I'm like, "Oh, that's the same story." Oh, yeah. And they are, it's heart-wrenchingly portrayed by this girl who's very good. She was in Justified. She was the girl that Raylan was trying to protect all the time.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my God, no kidding. She's also apparently in that Booksmart movie that about the two college students who don't want to leave college without going to one big college party, but they're very, they're more of the nerds, so they just kind of like change their whole not appearance, but like, basically crash a big college party so they can go. Which I do want to see. But anyway, the show's called Unbelievable, and big Denver connection, although I'll tell you, there's nothing there that seemed to be shot in Denver. And the Westminster Police Department with those big, beautiful windows where Toni Collette works and hops on the computer. Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I've driven by the Westminster Police Department. There's maybe one window.
Yeah,
and
it's
tiny,
not this mountainside resort looking.
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that looked like it was filmed in a the chart house up on Lookout Mountain.
Might have been. Could have been for all we know. But it's sure good though,
Anyway,
right?
but,
Like it just feels. I kept saying on the show, it feels important to watch, but it's also even if you don't agree with it or somebody doesn't agree with that assessment, what I came away with too was that it's just an incredibly well done. Not procedural, because I think that undersells it. But just like the process of the police work that's going down is so meticulous and well done and honest, and I don't know, man. Like even and like I said, like even the bad guys aren't really bad guys. They're just kind of not, other than the rapist, I mean. But the other cops are. Oh, that was heartbreaking.
Right. I mean, they think they're doing the right thing. They think they're going by the book, but they're getting it completely wrong and following these two separate stories of Marie in Seattle, and then the stuff that's going on with Merritt Weaver and Toni Collette in Denver. It's just so good, really, really good.
Yeah.
8 hours that you'll be glad you spent watching this.
Yep. And you know who's great is the raggedy old lady from My Name is Earl and the ATM machine thing.
Yep, Breaking Bad, the ATM machine, Breaking
She's
Bad.
so
I know.
good in this.
It's got to be the first time that she's not playing a crack addict prostitute, right? I mean, it's
pretty close. I mean, she was in Hell or High Water as the when they did their first bank heist. She was the lady that they came and robbed first. That was at the bank, came early to open the place. So she's done other stuff, obviously, but in this, she's just like I don't want this to be done. I want them to do another case. I want more of this. Can they just renew this show?
The continuing story of Merritt Weaver and Toni Collette working together and solving crimes like a.
Even if they don't work together, they're make a new cop show and have every season be kind of its own, closed season of start to finish, just like this one was, and tell another compelling story. I mean, maybe it's just too hard to do it, but this is so much better than anything else that's like it. It's just so good. Man, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. By the way, let's see. And on the Breaking Bad wiki, she's known as Spooge's Lady. She's a dangerous drug addict who stole meth from Skinny Pete at knife point with help from her husband Spooge.
Yep.
The actress's name is Dale Dickey.
Yeah, she's great. And she smashed her husband. She smashed Spooge's head with a ATM machine. In that thing,
right, exactly,
and then fell asleep on the couch.
She appeared in two episodes of the second season of Breaking Bad. Has not made any appearances in Better Call Saul, and is not expected to appear in El Camino.
Yeah,
which is Friday, man. Oh my God, are you excited?
I'm so excited. Nick and I are losing our minds. Nick and his generation apparently are the largest Breaking Bad fans in the history of the planet. At least he claims to be. So he and I we got a date set. We're gonna watch that thing together. And Kim and Carter aren't as interested, but we are losing our minds. We can't wait.
Nice. Dale Dickey was in Iron Man 3 apparently.
Oh, was she the what was she, the Mandarin?
Yes,
you'll never see my ATM.
You'll never see this ATM coming.
I don't remember.
I'm looking to see. I'm sure she was in the town that Tony Stark ends up in. Where he meets the little kid.
Sidian says he plays the mom of the soldier that Tony goes looking for. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. She's just a really interesting screen presence, and I loved her on My Name is Earl. She had a really great role. She was a prostitute on there. She was great.
She was on Justified as well for 4 episodes in 2014.
Wow. Why do I not remember
Not
that?
surprised.
That's crazy. Yeah, hey.
She looks like she'd fit perfectly on Justified.
It's like, we're going to make a show that's got a lot of hill people in it. Where's that lady? She'd be very good. But in this, she was like she was like a tech expert, systems expert, and she knew all this stuff. And guy that shouted her little intern guy that ran around, he was great. Everybody was great.
Yeah.
Everybody should watch Unbelievable. It's unbelievably good, and I say that
it's unbelievably good.
It's really something special. It needs to win everything when that comes around. All right, final.
I'll have to take a look and see. She apparently did a Funny or Die called "Do You Want to See a Dead Body?" where she played a prostitute.
Oh,
so I'll have to find that one.
Perfect. I'm all in. Brian Guthrie. Just wanted to give a shout out to Brian Guthrie. He somebody I've been talking to, a listener of the show offline. He's a retired veteran and has been through some stuff, and I just wanted him to know that we love listeners like him and hope he's doing all right. And just a shout out, just a random shout out to Brian Guthrie. Probably not in the chat. Probably not.
I've talked with him before as well, and I can't remember his nickname that he would go by, but
I don't either. But he's super nice. He's the nicest guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
big shout out to him, and hope he's doing well today. All right, I guess that's it for that.
Yes, sir.
Let's dive into the news.
This is your radio newscaster with another exclusive, sensational summary of world and local events.
Time for the news, brought to you by
Current Geek. Current Geek. Thursday now. Posted on Thursdays now. Check it out. Details at currentgeek.com.
That's right.
I can't talk about Current Geek without without doing the Fletcher stuff.
I get it, man. Like, that was a thing that we ruined ourselves on it. Actually, is that me doing that or Fletcher? Hold on, now I don't know. Here, I'm going to play the intro and see.
I have.
Oh, yes.
Okay, that part where I yell is me. Hold on. So we got this guy's. Okay, hold on. This guy.
I have.
That I have guy is just some random dude I
That's
recorded
Tom.
on a commercial or something.
Oh, that's not even Tom?
It's
I
not
thought that
even
was Tom.
No, just some random name. And then you got. That's me. And that's me. That's me again. That's Fletcher.
That's Fletcher. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very recognizable Fletcher.
Yeah. He's famous now for it. Well done, Fletcher. Anyway, we moved nights to better accommodate a scheduling stuff. Tom has filming stuff on Tuesdays now, and my Tuesdays are a little nutty, so we have decided to move
Filming
things to
stuff? What's
Thursday.
Tom up to?
Well, you know his top 5 thing he does for
Oh, right.
what do you call it? I forgot the name of the thing he does it for. Some tech thing.
This weekend.
That's not that. Something else.
Earwolf Records.
There it is. Earwolf Records. That's it. No, it's not it. Anyway, that'll be Thursday. So
Nice.
check your podcast feeds now. It's a fun podcast. All right. We're going to talk about the worst Burger King in the world being shut down.
Wow.
This is a
Okay.
sad day for San Franciscans and world citizens alike. The Burger King on San Francisco's Market Street stopped flipping Whoppers on Tuesday. Oh, man, this is a real bummer. Signs on the door said the fast food restaurant in the Civil Center neighborhood was closed permanently effective October 1st. Paul Little has been a security guard at the San Francisco Public Library across the street for 20 years and has observed the restaurant struggle on the corner of the Market and Hyde for years. Quote, "It was the worst Burger King in the world," he says. It's the population here. If you go to the Starbucks across the street, they'll tell you the same thing. They've been trying to get it together, but I heard there was a time recently when all the employees just got up and left. Yelp. I don't know why it's so sad. They haven't really explained yet why it's so bad. Like, is it a rough neighborhood? Is it because?
Oh, I think we get to it in the sixth paragraph.
Oh, good. Here we go. Yelp reviews echo the sentiment. Quote, "As soon as you walk by, you are assaulted by the sights and sounds of everything that is wrong with the Civil Center area," wrote Philip L. of San
Keep
Francisco.
saying Civil Center. It's the Civic Center.
Why do I say civil? Why would I,
don't know,
do
you just
that?
try to be civil.
Because that C is not an L by any stretch of
not,
any.
Not even close.
No. What's
Yeah.
wrong with my face? Don't answer that question, everybody. I know what's wrong with my face. Speaking of my face, I did a selfie video this morning showing that you can play TMS on your Amazon Echo device, or hold on, my peripheral vision has found a child. Hold on, come here, bud. So you guys can. Oh, hi! Look at the big smile I get. Hello, look. Say hi, Brian.
Aw.
You say hi, Brian. Not
Hey,
yet,
buddy.
no?
How you doing, Van?
No
Look at that
words?
guy.
No have words yet. He loves it here because these lights and screens. It's just like
Yeah, there's
bananas.
so much to look at. It's like,
bud.
oh, look over there. Oh, there's a dude.
Hi, bud. Are you doing good? Look at him. He's so chill. How'd you get such a chill baby?
Are you fishing in World of Warcraft on that screen?
We need to train him to fish in World of Warcraft for me so I don't have to do it. Oh, look at him smiling. There we go. Ah, look at him smiling. Oh, look at him. All right. See you later,
Super
baby. See ya. I'll be up. He's going to be here for a while, right?
No, we're going to Garden Village.
Ah, poop. All right. Well, poop your diaper. Barf if you have to. All right.
Whatever you have to do, stick around.
Yeah, whatever you do, just leave him here. All right.
So I
just
think
love
I
that
may
kid.
have been to this Burger King because,
Oh, really?
yeah, a few years ago, several years ago, I'm going to say 2006 or 2007, I went to Macworld. One of the last Macworlds in San Francisco. And the only hotel I was able to get was a crummy Holiday Inn Express or something on Market Street. And so basically I'd have to walk every day from that hotel. It was too cheap to take a cab. Cost me a lot to go to Macworld. I think I was even speaking on a panel about podcasting. So that would have been, probably about 2006.
Wow.
And I had to walk from my crappy Holiday Inn Express all the way down Market Street into downtown San Francisco to go to the Moscone Center. And I'm sure during one of these walks, I stopped in and got a croissant-wich or a, can't even say croissant, a croissant-wich. It's a friggin' Burger King. It doesn't deserve the French flair of a croissant. It's a crust sandwich. But yeah, I believe I've been in that one. I don't remember it being bad though. But I mean, well, no, let me rephrase that. I don't remember specifically going to Burger King. I'm sure I did if it was along that walk, because I did that walk for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't remember the 3 days of straight explosive diarrhea?
puking
You don't
after,
remember that?
yeah, right, exactly. No, that I don't.
Okay.
That I don't remember.
Well, here's my favorite Yelp review.
Okay.
This is from Chris W. of California City, who says, quote, "Officially, the worst place I've been in my life. It smells like someone pissed all over the floor," unquote. Man.
Yeah, man, Market Street is it was, I just remember it being a rough deal. But man, there was the place, like at the end of Market Street, you get into downtown and you get to the Peloton. What was it called? It was like a Sony. It was a building that Sony had gotten.
The Metreon.
Metreon, that
Yeah.
was it. Yep, the Metreon. And they had that Mobius store upstairs with like his artwork and video games, and then they had a Sony PlayStation store, and that place was awesome.
And
It
didn't
was
Sega used to have something in there? Or maybe I
They
think
might
it was
have,
something
yeah.
else, and then Sony took
Yeah.
it over or something weird. But yeah, you're right. They had I don't think they do anymore, but I think they was even called the Sony Metreon or something.
I think it is. I think it was the Metreon. Yeah. Yes, Peloton is the bike. That's right. Yes.
Oh. Oops.
And apparently I've been thinking about one of those for a while too, because I would love to get one of those to help train for the next MS-150. But it's, they're what, $1,000 or something.
Peloton and Metreon both sound like friendly Autobots to me, don't they? A little bit.
Let's roll out,
Yeah.
Peloton.
Peloton.
Okay, Metreon.
Metreon, follow me. Peloton, get behind us. I could totally hear it.
And if we get thirsty, I've got an orange Julius in my butt.
Oh no! Anyway, so there you go. They closed it, and goodbye. I don't want to go there. It's fine.
No, well, too bad. You're not going to get your chance. Not going to get your chance to go there anyway.
They have a street poo problem too. There, they got a lot of poo on the streets.
Yeah, I know. It's
San Francisco is just kinda
weird to think that in America we've got a major city with a poop problem.
I think it's because
It's like a third world thing. You think, it's never going to happen here.
Yeah, I think it's because it is just such a stark economic cutoff. It's either you make a ton of money and can afford to live in San Francisco, or you have nothing.
Right.
Like there's just no middle class. It's done. And as Thrash Unreal 83 in the chat says, everybody poops. So those people with no homes got to poop somewhere. Where are you gonna poop?
And it's got the Tokyo problem where there's more and more people who want to live there, but it's not like they can grow any further than they have, because they've reached the limits of putting as many people in San Francisco as will fit on that geographic spot of land. So you have to move to like Oakland or
there you go.
Vallejo or
Good luck to all of you in that area. I have friends there who struggle. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
A man claimed voodoo made him shoplift at a Walmart. That's cool.
Hoodoo?
Yeah, voodoo. Hoodoo? Voodoo.
Hoodoo?
Hoodoo. Voodoo.
You say voodoo, I say hoodoo, you go you do.
Oh, I don't know that song very well. Is that a song? Is it a song, or is it just
the chat room's all over it. It's the you remind me of the babe. What babe? The babe with the power. What power? The power of voodoo. Hoodoo, you do. Do what? Remind me of the babe.
I don't remember
That's
that.
David Bowie Labyrinth
Yeah, I don't remember it very
dance,
well.
magic dance.
I remember hating. Well, whatever. Have I ever told you that? Have I told you that my theatrical viewing of that movie was the night that girl that I worked with, that I dated once and never even kissed,
the Chi-Chi's girl?
Yeah, that told everybody that I got her pregnant.
I didn't realize that she was one. She was the one who threw up pink. You threw up all the pink.
I threw up
Chi-Chis.
all the pink Chi-Chi's goo because after we went and saw the movie, we went and saw Labyrinth. Yeah. I took this other girl, Carrie, to where I work because I could get a discount because I was cheap.
Yes.
And I got alcohol-free cherry or strawberry daiquiris.
Virgin strawberry Chi-Chi's margarita.
Yeah, and margaritas, exactly. And then the rumors start coming back to me while I'm sitting there. Hey, Paula's in the back telling everybody she's pregnant and you're the father. And I'm like, dude, you kidding? I didn't kiss that girl. Like, are you kidding me? And I got so stressed out that I had to take Carrie home. And as soon as I got home, I yacked all my, because I just was so upset.
God.
I was so upset by that.
I don't think I've ever thrown up without it being like a food related, a gastric related issue. I don't think I've ever thrown up from like stress or surprise, like shock. That's my favorite, is when people throw up from like shock or surprise.
It's your favorite.
That's my favorite. Like like in a movie when like something happens, like on screen and the character goes wrong.
Yeah, I had one of those for remember the dead body I saw. I barfed that night on my mom's couch because I'd never seen a dead body. And I went in the house and fell asleep on the couch and woke up and yacked all over the couch. So like that, when I was a kid, that was
You're like that little girl in the tent in The Sixth Sense.
Yeah. When I was a kid, up through my low teens, that was a common thing for me. Like stress would get me there. These days,
really? Stress pukes.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, these days not at all. But even normal, where I should be, where my body's like, dude, you got like a disease in here. You need to yak. I still can't do it. I can't barf.
Wow.
I don't know what that's about. Low T, low T.
Low T.
I don't know what's going on.
Anyway, we haven't even made it through this first, like the sentence, the headline of this next one.
I know we got our brains.
We got stuck in voodoo.
So this guy claims his Voodoo 2 card in his old computer. Just kidding. Voodoo made him shoplift from a Walmart. A 29-year-old man in Lufkin says that Voodoo made him try to smuggle items out of a Walmart without paying for them. His name is Joshua Allen Renfro. Oh man, that is a low rent.
Yeah. Joshua Allen Renfro of Hemp Hill.
Yeah,
The Lufkin and Nacogdoches. It's like the eastern Texas, western, the border of Louisiana.
Yeah, that sounds right. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
I think so.
I think that sounds right. It's a Class B misdemeanor. Between $175, $750 charge. I'm going to do it in the accent of the place. He was released from jail Thursday after he posted bail on $1,500 bond amount, according to jail records. According to the Lufkin PD report, the accident...
True story.
True story. The alleged incident occurred at the Walmart store. They call it a store. I love when people do that. The Walmart
store. Yeah.
Let's see. This Renfro was caught after he allegedly tried to smuggle more than $400 worth of merch out of the store in a plastic tote. Love the word tote.
Tote. Yeah.
You got some tote? Let's see. After Renfro was arrested, he kept telling LPD officers that the voodoo made him try to steal the items from the Walmart. He also
the voodoo, by the way.
He also
the
said
voodoo did it.
Yeah, and it's not me reading it that way. It actually says the voodoo for the chat room. He also told them that the voodoo told him not to brush his teeth that morning. So there's that.
Could it be? I Am Sci-Fi points out that Vudu is also Walmart's streaming service.
Oh,
video streaming service.
The VUDU, right?
Yeah. Could he have been saying that? Oh, Vudu.
That's
your
funny.
Vudu told me that I could go get this movie for free if I went to my local Walmart.
So I feel like I'm a little behind things. I didn't realize Walmart owned Vudu. Did they buy them or?
I didn't either. They must have. I knew that. I thought that was just a whole separate thing. I didn't realize that's Walmart owned.
Let's see, Vudu. It makes sense because they were trying real hard to get in there edgewise. Oh, here it is. They're an American content delivery and media technology company responsible for Vudu branded interactive media, full-length movies, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here it is. Vudu was acquired by Walmart in March of 2010. So.
That long ago.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Had no idea.
Wow.
No idea that was Walmart. Crazy.
Yeah.
Should I only use it while I'm in my pajamas and shirt that's not low enough for my belly to hang out, or how am I supposed to use it?
With the barbecue sauce stains from your ribs swimming.
And my pork rib swimming. Let's see, Brian. Here's another Dream Bible moment. I'm going to give you a new one here.
Okay.
To dream of a vagina represents receptivity or compliance to belief, ideas, wishes, or goals. How open, how open you or someone else is to accepting what other people want. How receptive a desired situation
like a vagina?
is. Hey, are you open to going to the park this weekend? I'd like a vagina, I am. Let's go. Open for business.
Oh, jeez.
All right. The size of the vagina may reflect how receptive you are to someone else's objectives.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is great. A big vagina may reflect a situation that is too easy or that can be done, that has been done a lot before. Now, on the other hand, a small vagina may reflect a situation that is difficult to do or that's never been done before. A giving person or situation that you must be careful with.
I'm just picturing going to a psychiatrist and saying, I've been having these dreams lately about a vagina. Oh, really? Is it a large vagina or a small vagina? I think maybe I'm good on my own. I don't need these sessions anymore, Doc. Thanks.
Can I just pay for half of this and then we're done?
Yeah,
Just
I'm
bill
going
me?
back to WebMD. I'm going to go solve my problems on Urban Dictionary. I think I'm good. Thanks.
That makes sense. All right, I'm going to save these other two for tomorrow. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Bill here. We're going to talk about making things in the world of makers and making stuff. And that'll come up right at the top of the hour. And then, of course, Jerry will be here. I have questions for him regarding the resurgence of one Mitt Romney in politics.
Mitt. Some Mitt talk.
Currently living rent-free in Trump's head, it turns out. So we're going to talk about that. More about that, though, after the break. Before the break, though, a song, an intermission, if you will, and Brian has it.
Sure. The treasure you seek is buried underneath the big V. It's right next to the big W. Let's talk about a band called Ruben and the Dark. People already have been experiencing some really cool music from Ruben and the Dark because their song Black Water has been featured in the trailer to El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie. So you may have already heard Ruben in the Dark and you don't even know it yet. And you're like, oh, I like that song. Ooh, cool. Ruben Bullock is the singer-songwriter, frontman of the band. They've got a brand new album coming out on October 5th via Arts and Crafts Records called Unlove, with one like a pipe, the vertical line between it, not a slash, but a pipe.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the pipe. I don't get to see the pipe enough. It needs more use.
I know. I like exactly. I think it's a good divider because it separates things very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the words "un" and "love" in the title of the brand new Ruben and the Dark album. Here is the song "Rising" to give you a little more taste of Ruben and the Dark.
Sounds good. We'll be back in a minute.
I've been hunting your kind for a long time, but I never dared to hope that the dark gods would send me the one who has the Alpha Mariah.
I have the chef.
You can't spell the morning stream without remonstrating. This is the morning stream.
True.
It is so true, right? Remonstrating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You're left with nothing.
Remonstrating. Yeah.
Remonstrating.
You can't say it without it. That's pretty awesome. Educational and entertaining, as always, Mr. Scott Fletcher, who you can find, by the way, on Twitter. You guys go on there and just cheese him or send him things that you want him to say now, and maybe he'll record them. He's at Mr. Scott Fletcher, or if you want to look at it a different way, at Miss Cott Fletcher.
Mrs. Cott Fletcher.
Mrs. Cott Fletcher. Oh yeah, Mrs. not Miss. Mrs.
Mrs. Right? Because it's at the MR. Yeah.
Yeah, MRS. Like Penn Island. .com. Penn Island.
That's right. Penn Island.
Yeah, which is penis land if you look at it a different way. Anyways, we're back. We're going to get right into it here with our good buddy Bill.
Yeah.
Got to add him to the call, though.
Oh, I got a new STL file that I can't wait to try out on my resin 3D printer.
Ooh. Yeah, you're loving that thing, aren't you? You're digging that thing.
I am loving it.
Yeah.
Totally digging it.
I love that you're loving it. I love that you love it. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm gonna send you a link so you and Bill can check this thing out. This is a 3D STL file that I wanna build.
Okay.
I'm putting it in our Discord.
I am very interested. Here's the beginning of what will be the greatest segment of all time. Here you go.
But Bill just isn't thinking about danger.
Bill Duran, all the way from punishedprops.com, in his studio/home in far-flung wherever you are right now. Where are you? You're in Seattle. Why am I saying that weird?
Yes.
You're in Seattle. Hi. You're in your shop today. That looks great. That looks fun.
I am. Yeah, they're testing our fire system.
Mm-hmm.
So, or like the alarms. So we had to come in early in case anyone needed to get in here.
Yeah.
But also, the fire alarm goes off in the next 15 minutes.
Yes!
That's why.
I desperately want that to happen live. We'll see how this goes. I think that would be great. You also
the wall
yeah.
the wall hanging you have behind you, man.
Yeah.
It's just like every nerd's dream is to have something like that in a room in their house, right? With like every nerd property you can think of represented there, from World of Warcraft to
that's not even all of it.
Effect,
Not even
right.
close. There's a lot more over there and there and
Yeah, but that thing's cool because my first glance was, oh, there's some tools. He's like my dad.
Yeah.
He's got a big thing of tools. And you look closer and you go, no, those are the tools of the Blade Runner and other cool characters in things. It's really rad.
So cool.
I got to get out there and see that place firsthand sometime.
yeah, you do.
I know. And Nick's been begging me. We got to just get up there. So, hey, tell us what's going on today. What's happening in the world of making things with Bill Duran and Punished Props?
Well, usually nowadays when I do TMS, I'm at home and none of my stuff is there. But since I'm here, I figured I'd take an opportunity to do a little bit of a show and tell with some of the things I've made recently.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So going back, I've got a helmet here. This is a wearable helmet. You could fit a whole human head inside of there. You can even kind of see out of it.
Yeah.
And the back of it kind of like closes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this is from an anime called Code Geass, and we built this for Funimation, and it was 3D printed. So I 3D printed it, sanded it, painted it, and put like this really cool glossy automotive finish.
How many pieces is that in a 3D print? Because the front seems
so.
Because the front seems, or not front, the side seems so single piece. I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, I had to put them all back together.
Light.
Yeah,
it is. It's not very light or heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and of course all these things have videos that we've made over on punishedprops.com. But that's the first one there, and I wanted to like highlight how I use a specific technique for this 3D printing, kind of an automotive finish, because my next thing I did differently.
Ooh. All right. I'm on pins and needles here. Let's see what you got there.
Little anime. Let's head on over to HBO land, and this is the dagger I made from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Known as the Cat's Paw dagger.
This is the one that killed the. Are we out of spoiler time now? I can say.
I think we can talk about the Game of Thrones at this point.
This is where the Night King took it in the end from Arya. She stabbed him with this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty.
So
hot.
this one was made. I did the base of this was all wood, cut out with normal woodworking tools, and then the handle was all sculpted using an epoxy clay. So very different than that helmet. Very different techniques.
Yeah.
Much more manual, and I didn't need a 3D printer to do it. Of course, you could make this with a 3D printer if you wanted to. I just wanted to flex my sculpting skills a little bit, especially on this handle, which was quite
impressive.
a challenge.
It's super nice.
So that's hand sculpted, that handle.
It's beautiful.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
That thing's
So
beautiful.
our art school finally paid off.
How come you have that helmet still if you did it as a commission for the Funimation people? What happened there?
They paid us for the video.
Oh, to just make it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, the sponsored video for a movie that was coming out. I mean, they could have, but we went back and forth with them, and I decided I wanted to keep this.
Right.
They were interested in buying that as well, but once it was all done and shiny, I was like, I'd like to keep that, and you have to pay me less. And they were like, deal.
Yeah, no kidding.
Fair enough.
All right, the next one is a little big. Oh, there we go. This is my nuke launcher.
Oh yeah.
Get a pretty good idea of how large this thing is.
We actually talked about this pretty in detail on an episode, but I didn't have the scale in my head right. That's crazy. Wow.
Dude, it even sounds like it's made out of metal.
I think I hit some stuff on my desk.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So this was made using aluminum for the functional parts in the middle there, but then most of the rest of it was made using EVA foam. So a big, much different project from the other two, and I used a lot of different techniques and materials.
Very nice.
Which is, let me see if I can put this down without breaking.
Did you tell me whether or not that thing will launch your nuke that you had made as well? Or...
It will.
It will. Okay.
Oh, it will.
Right.
It'll launch all kinds of things.
That's amazing.
And that one, I challenged myself to work out the mechanical part of that, making that work. Before I did any of the cosmetic stuff, I worked on making it able to launch things, which was a fun new challenge for me. I like to keep things fresh when I'm making stuff. I like making stuff out of foam, but I don't only make things out of foam. I don't just keep cranking out foam projects. I like to expand my skill set. I like to challenge myself.
Nice.
However, the next thing is made out of foam.
Oh, all right. Back to your...
Which is appropriate.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Even though I said I wasn't going to do it, I did start playing WoW Classic. And I have a level 30 druid now.
Oh my gosh, you really have been playing it. Level 30 in Classic is no small feat. Jeez Louise.
Brittany and I are rolling druids, so we have 2 druids, and we are unstoppable.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's amazing. That is I showed that to Metz, and I don't know if I did tell you. He was blown away by that thing. He couldn't believe that was foam. Like, he just was like...
It weighs about 1.5 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, it is so ridiculously
It's amazing.
Like,
yeah.
Sorry, listeners at home are only getting the audio. I shouldn't leave you in the dark
right.
here. It's his Doomhammer that he made, and it's just the best, coolest replica ever.
The textures and everything on there, absolutely incredible.
Right.
Bill, I don't know who your lawyer is, but whoever it is, when you're working at your will, that's the only thing I need my name on. That's the only one.
Okay, cool.
Okay? Just saying.
Yeah. All right.
Putting
That's
it out
fair. So anyway, different techniques on this one, different painting as well. This was all hand painted. I didn't spray any of it. The Fat Man painting was done mostly with rust. So I used paints with metal in it, and I used oxidizers to rust it. So not only have I built a lot of these things with different techniques, I also finished them with different techniques too. Partially because the hand-painted look really works for something like this, right? Yeah. Whereas something like my most recent project, the Rose Quartz Sword from Steven Universe.
There it is. Yep.
A hand-painted look could work, but if you do like a sprayed automotive finish like I did on this one, it just sings. It's so shiny and sparkly.
Gorgeous. Look at the reflection. Like, you can see your webcam in the reflection.
Yeah. We have a light over there that's meant to look like a flickering torch, so we get some nice.
Yeah, I saw that in your helmet earlier. So the finish on that has the effect of creating, almost enhancing the cartoon effect. You know what I mean? Like
right,
making
and
it
that's
look
what
animated.
I was going for. Very. It's like an automotive finish on here with a nice metallic fleck in it, but the colors themselves are quite flat. There isn't any shading. There isn't any gradients on here. It's all just flat colors. It's not weathered or dirty or anything, because in the show it's always perfectly clean.
Yeah.
Which makes it really hard to paint without getting stuff on it. There is stuff on this. It's not perfect, I promise.
Yeah. Still looks
but from
really
over
good.
here you can't tell.
Can't see. Yeah, no, that's gorgeous. That's so
especially if I'm
gorgeous.
swinging it.
Yeah. Someone in the chat room says it looks like candy, and I agree. I would eat that. Yeah.
I promise it does not taste like candy.
I kind of want to eat it, if I'm being honest. I just want to eat your sword.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a handful of my more recent projects, and I wanted to show them off now that I have them with me. But mostly I just wanted to sort of show how a lot of these things can be made in such a variety of ways that just because I may have made something with 3D printing, if you don't have a 3D printer, that doesn't mean you're out of luck. There's so many skills you can use to finish all of these projects I could have done using the techniques I used on any of the other ones to finish them. It's just a matter of how much time you have, what sort of tools you have available to you, what your budget is, what kind of materials you have.
Well,
so
Bill,
I like to be able to show them all off.
Since you're doing
gorgeous.
that with us, I'm going to give you a quick dream interpretation of what having a sword in your dream means. Okay, so here's what it means.
Oh, good. Okay.
This is from DreamBible.com. We've been using it all day today to sort of interpret some of this stuff. For you, if you dream of a sword, to dream of a sword represents strength, empowerment, or willpower. It symbolizes the ability to persevere in the face of opposition or to stay competitive, the strength of your integrity. Nice. His big pink
You
sword.
have my sword.
You have my
Nothing
candy
surprising
sword.
about that interpretation.
No. Once again,
man.
yeah. Once again, this thing is
just-
bunk and terrible. But yeah.
I want to redo the scene from Lord of the Rings from Fellowship when they're like, and you have my axe, except I show up with my pink sword.
Yep. It'll be
And
impressive.
you have my candy sword.
Perfect.
Let us go to Mordor.
Yep. To Mordor. The hobbits are making the hobbits have made it to Isengard. What did they say? What does he say? The hobbits are going.
The hobbits are going to Isengard.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I love
they're
that
taking the
song.
hobbits to Isengard.
I love that song. That little song someone made. Anyway, hey Bill, bonus link for this week before we go. What do you got there?
Sure thing. Our buddy Jazza did. Oh, I'm not logged into Twitch. You can look up Jazza on YouTube. I've talked about him before, but he did a bonsai tree recently. He sort of dipped his toe into the bonsai world. Did a video on his first tree, and I thought it was super duper fun. And as I don't have a lot of hobbies because my job kind of is my hobby. And outside of work, I'm a zombie. As soon as I'm done working here, my brain is just dead and I go home. And I've been looking for a hobby that I could do fairly passively. And watching a tiny tree grow seems like a pretty good thing I could do in my spare time.
Oh, so this is like, I thought you were talking about somebody who like modeled a bonsai tree out of resin or something. But this is actually like really doing the whole Mr. Miyagi thing and pruning it with the little tiny shears and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
So anyway, Jazza did a video over on his channel. His channel is just called Jazza now, Jazza, formerly Draw with Jazza. But anyway, it's a great video. It really kind of goes over the whole process, and it got me. I've done bonsai trees in the past. I've killed bonsai trees in the past. Is what I've done. I would love to try again, and this video kind of got me real interested in it again.
Yeah,
it's
it's
about
very
a
cool.
week or two ago he did the video.
So you're right. It's all rebranded as Jazza, but for some reason the URL is still Draw with Jazza. I wonder if you couldn't get that.
Yeah, you can't change your YouTube URL.
You're stuck with that, right? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got /Scott Johnson, but I don't use it for anything cool yet. I don't know. I should get advice from one Bill Duran. Maybe that's the thing to do. Talk to that guy. Here he knows stuff.
Talk to the guy who has the @BillDuran Twitter handle and tell him to give it to me, even though he swears he's totally going to use it, but hasn't touched it for 3 years.
Yeah,
That's
that's how I ended up with Scott Johnson on Twitter. The guy never used it. I reached out once. I said, "Hey, can I have it?" And he goes, "I guess so. I'm not using it." I got it, transferred everything, and a week later, he came begging for it again, for it, saying, "I just gave you this. You got to give it back." I'm like, "No, that's not how that works, dude." Like I don't know what the new the more PC way of saying Indian giver is, but you can't just give me that and then come back and say, "Here, I need it back." So nope, sorry. Have a nice life. So I was kind of a jerk to that guy. Whatever, I got my name.
Nah.
Vanity wins in the end. Bill Duran, everybody, punishprops.com. Sadly, we won't hear the alarm, but I'd look forward to you guys getting okayed by the Fire and Hazard Department of Lower Seattle or whatever the hell it is. Best of luck, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome.
All right. I want to go to his thing. We should go to his thing and see his thing.
I know. Yeah, it would be great to, again, a little traveling TMS thing where we go to Seattle and then go to Hayes, Kansas, and then go to Oakland. Like we could make a whole thing where we come to you.
Yeah, we're coming to O-Town. Oh, I see him coming in already. Coming in hot. That means it's time to play this.
These are their stories.
Oh, I'm terrible with names.
On the phone with us now, probably at slightly lower volume because I don't know yet. We haven't tried. We have Justin Robert Young all the way from Oakland, California. Hello, Justin.
This time, I think from Florida.
Oh, is he in Florida?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
and you sound great,
you
by the way.
Me?
Yeah, you sound
We
perfect.
can hear you. You sound great.
100% perfect right off the bat. I wonder what that's about. That's pretty good. What brings you to Florida? What are you doing down there? Family or what?
Yeah. I was here for a wedding over the weekend, and then because my mom is now up in Orlando, that's where I head because I can't go to Florida. That's seeing my mom and my brother and their kids. It's a fun time.
Is she gonna get primaried for the Democratic nomination this year? I know you voted for her in 2016. We're gonna see that happen again.
she is steadfast in being against me talking about voting for her, and repeatedly tells me to stop talking about it on the internet. So,
oh, good.
I think presidential vote receiver Gloria Young, who by the way is a guest on the PX3 podcast on Wednesday, has a lot of good thoughts, a lot of good political thoughts as a Florida voter. A over 50 Florida voter, so
and she seems like you would come. She sounds like the kind of stock I would expect Justin Robert Young to come from. Smart, articulate, does her one-man show where she tears her shirt off, all that stuff, right? That all comes from your mom.
That's 100% copy paste. I'm just doing the old family act.
Oh, good.
The aristocrats.
Exactly, right?
All right, so I have a question for you that is politically related and is of interest to me. It appears that we have seen at least some sightings of the triumphant return of Mittens, who is now living rent-free in Trump's head due to a couple of statements that he made opposing recent actions by the president. And I'm curious if you've got a hot Mittens take, because he's all up in it now again. For a while there, it was like, he's a limp biscuit. Now he's like Mr. All Up in Your Butt again. So.
I mean, really, my only question is, do you like him now? Do you like him more or less than you did before?
I mean, this is why I voted for him. I wanted him to be a check on power. I wanted him to, I mean, I also knew there was no way we were going to elect a Democrat in my state for that position or for that senatorial position. So, and I also, I don't know if I've ever said this on the show before, but I also believe, and I'm going to get heat for this, that's fine, whatever, send your emails. I believe that he is, in the most general way of speaking, a pretty decent guy. I think he's a good guy.
Mitt Romney.
Yes, Mitt Romney. Yeah, I think he's a decent guy. He has a very nice family, by all accounts. You can argue about his politics, argue about his business practices, all that stuff you want to all day long. But at the end of the day, I think he's a decent man who would like to do decent things. That's why I voted for him. And I wanted him to be what he said he was going to be, which is sort of a check on presidential power. That's kind of one of the things he said as he was getting elected. So,
sure,
all he had to do was be very, I think, politely critical of the president's decision. And politely critical of his statements about China and Ukraine. And to see Trump completely lose it over that tells me, and by the way, completely lose it over it versus completely losing it over any other Republican showing any signs of dissent, and there have been others, but for him to focus on Romney in such a critical way means that he's under his skin, that he's annoyed him, that he's got his focus, and that seems good for my opinion, which is, these co-equal branches need to show their brass and fight a little. So yes, I like him. I like him a little more than I did 2 weeks ago.
You like him now. So now he's good Romney. Before he was bad Romney. Now he's good Romney.
No, he was just to me before he was just sort of like, well, what are you going to do? You're just not doing anything. Like, you're ineffective, Romney. And you've always made good arguments as to why he probably wasn't doing anything.
Well, I generally don't know what, I mean, this seems to me to be a fairly consistent thing for him. He criticizes the president when there's something that falls within his purview of things that he likes to criticize. He certainly has been critical of the president in the past. He's critical on foreign policy elements. That's always a wheelhouse for Mitt Romney. But to answer your question on why Trump goes after him, it's because Mitt Romney, much like Paul Ryan, fires up his base. Like the Trump base that loves him the most hate what they refer to as rhinos, right? Republicans in name only. And Mitt Romney, along with John McCain and Paul Ryan, were probably the three most famous, most criticized version of that. So if you want a reason why he's going after Mitt Romney and not, let's say, Susan Collins, who is another, I mean, she actually has voted with Democrats in the past on more, bigger issues, or Lisa Murkowski, they also get criticism, but that's a little bit more inside the kind of Breitbart mediascape. The ones that are famous That's Mitt Romney. So that's
Yeah.
why he goes after Mitt Romney on.
Yeah, I get that. I think you're right. I think that's exactly why he's doing it. But I like to see if I get any joy out of Trump getting completely frothed up, it's at things like that, because to me it's the most like the Romney tweets and the comments were kind of innocuous. They weren't, they're like, it was very concerning. It's all that same old, strong concern.
I mean, by the way,
brow.
like also, all right, so is he going to be good Romney or bad Romney when he votes to not remove the president?
He'll be bad Romney if he votes not to
So
remove
he'll be
the president.
bad Romney then.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you that right now, all of his statements are telegraphing that that's what's going to happen.
Maybe.
Like, so you are doing a full ring around the rosy on when like he's not mentioned that he wants to remove it, but he's good Romney now. He was bad Romney before. He'll be bad Romney when he very transparently does what is not good. So the only way to be a very good is if he do remove the president after he was impeached.
Yes, I will circle around to you are bad Romney for not voting yes to removal once it gets to the Senate. If you vote for removal, you will be great Romney. That's where I'm at.
Yes,
absolutely binary.
He would also be a Democrat. Like it would be, that you should have just voted for the Democrat.
I don't care what anyone says about that. That makes me think that he's a better Republican than all of them then if he makes that choice. So I don't care what someone else thinks if they think he's a Democrat. He's just a liberal.
Oh, no. I know. And it's not to say that I think somebody else thinks that. I just think that this will probably be a party line vote. And like, that's what happens when, effectively removing the president is, again, it's while many kind of look at it as, it's giving the party a haircut. In reality, the haircut is decapitation.
No,
like you are cutting off the head. You are basically ceding, probably 8 years of power in that one vote.
No, I know.
It is a very zero-sum situation.
We're just all I'm asking, what I'm hoping for, and I'm not saying I'm 100% I'm going to get it. I just want him. To me, that's an act of doing the right thing. And if party line and party maintenance and non-decapitation matter more to him, well, then I'll see that, and he'll become bad Romney. It's fine. But right now, I have a little bit of.
I think he's the same guy. I feel like you should just have a more measured idea of who he is instead of swinging back and forth between like, oh look, he's doing great. Oh,
listen,
boo.
When Darth Vader threw the Emperor down the Death Star hole, he was good Darth Vader.
No,
and then when he did all those things
but that's the thing is you're looking at it like as if there's this big moral swing. There's not. That would be like Darth Vader going throughout the entire thing saying, I don't know, I'm really going to throw you in a hole one day. Like, I know I'm doing your bidding now, but I'm really pissed off at you. I have some latent issues about how you treated me early on in my employment. Like,
yeah,
that he didn't do that. That was a switch.
Yeah,
like,
but it's possible. Like McCain, you could say the same stuff about McCain. Often he would make a bunch of bluster and then he would vote down the party line. But that one time he gave the thumbs down and it changed the whole vote. Like he did one of those. And I'm just saying this could be Romney's one of those.
That's policy. Like that's not removing the president. Removing the president is a much, again,
I agree.
Policy gets voted up or down all the time. We have seriously challenged a president with impeachment 3 times prior to this incident right now. So we'll see. I don't know. I just don't know why you have this like gigantic pendulous swing of him being good or bad when he feels pretty consistent. Are we not going to talk about China?
Oh, we can if you want. It's starting to permeate my own personal world with this Hearthstone thing. It's like
yeah,
it's a bigger deal than I thought it was going to turn into because the South Park thing, which by the way, that clip where the dude's got the whiteboard and he's talking to the kids. I haven't seen the whole episode yet.
Yeah,
I intend to today.
I watched it today. By the way, it is currently on Comedy Central's website without ads, which I don't know whether or not that's because nobody wants to put ads on that episode, but I watched it for free on Comedy Central's website.
Maybe that's a little bit of shade thrown by them, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe nobody wants to advertise, hard to say. But the scene I've seen, the clip that I've seen circulating where he's talking to the kids and they want to do their story and he's like, oh, you can't do that. Winnie the Pooh is insensitive because it looks like Chairman Mao or whatever. Like That's
Chairman Xi.
Oh, Xi,
Sure.
sorry, the new guy. Sorry. That scene is everything. It's the whole thing that, like, South Park does so well sometimes. They metaphorically wrap stuff up in such simple language, but perfectly sort of illustrate at least the bottom line of what all this means. So I'm going to have to go deep and hard on Friday's instance and try to discuss it in a way that doesn't piss everybody off everywhere. But basically, I sound a little bit like you here, actually. That may get me in trouble too, but Blizzard and the Houston Rockets and the whoever's, they're kind of just being, if corporations are people, the people only want the money, and the money can't happen if you don't please where the money's coming from. And China's a giant emerging market, so you bend the knee because you want to play ball there. And it's not that shocking to me that nobody's, Blizzard didn't stand up and go, "We stand with this pro player immovably in our belief that further growth." They're not going to do that. They need to make money. They're a company, and so they're going to do this other thing. Yeah. Do I like it? No, I don't like it. Am I pro-democracy in Hong Kong and elsewhere? Absolutely I am. But I don't know why any of us are freaking out. I guess freaking out is separate. If you're in a position to be able to do something, great. But this is companies. This is corporate everything. It's ugly. It's a side of it we don't like to talk about or think about, but it exists. And I don't know why everyone's surprised. Like, not my Blizzard. Like, not my Apple, not my Google, not my... Everyone's doing this. Remember, Google's got a whole different kind of search approach over there. Where they don't
no. They were building one, and then they got criticized for it, and they cooled it down for now. I mean, who knows eventually how it will shake out there. But I think it is interesting because we have had a couple moments lately where we've seen kind of the chain get yanked by China. That China is a gigantic emerging market. It's also a totalitarian and Orwellian mess. And so what happened with Blizzard and what happened with the Houston Rockets is, number one, I don't think it is a coincidence that this is happening as China's 70th anniversary of the Communist Party begins. The Golden Week, or National Day of the founding of the Communist Party in 1949 happened earlier this month. And this is a huge year for Chairman Xi specifically to make sure that everything rolls along smoothly. It has not so far with the Hong Kong protest, and now they're kind of flexing their muscle a little bit. That for those who are unaware, Daryl Morey, the GM of the Houston Rockets, tweeted a fairly benign, at least on American Twitter standards, a thing about standing with Hong Kong, and next thing you know, his job's in jeopardy. The NBA has to apologize. The owner of his team apologizes to China. You've got players apologizing to media in Japan. They're going to play in China, and all of China's state basketball organizations and sponsors dropped out from the Houston Rockets. I assume that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Activision, which is the parent company of Blizzard, that was a heavy portion of that was bought into by Tencent, right?
Well, no. So company. No, Tencent doesn't have any investment, but they do have a relationship with. So Tencent owns a lot of video game stuff. Currently, they don't own anything Blizzard Activision related, but they cooperate in some market stuff. But it's the other company, not Tencent. What's the other one? The ones that are gonna. Oh, the ones that
Alibaba.
No, it's another name, and I forgot the freaking name. I can't remember his name or the name of the company. They're making the other game. NetEase. There it is. NetEase is the other big China. That's a big Chinese company, and NetEase is facilitating. They facilitate how WoW works over there. They are they're helping co-develop this mobile Diablo game. Like, it's kind of a big deal for them, and they don't want to offend them or any shareholders or anything else. Let me clear something up real quick. The chat room is saying that a couple people specifically are saying, because I said it's business and why is anyone surprised? No, I stand by that. I don't like it. I think it sucks. And if you're asking me if I think something should be done about it, absolutely. I'm just saying I don't know why this is shocking to anybody. Like, this is what businesses do. They ignore stuff like that to make money in places where they need to make money and where they want to make money. I'm not saying it's morally correct. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying, why are you shocked by that? If you're shocked by it, you haven't been paying attention. Welcome to this dark corner of capitalism. It kind of sucks. All right, go ahead.
It is kind of interesting that this is a capitalism thing, right? And not a totalitarian government making extraordinary demands to keep the business partnerships going. And that has been an interesting. I'm not saying it's invalid,
right?
But it does seem to be pushing the responsibility away from the fact that, well, maybe you're just in a bad business deal. Maybe the unlimited funds that can or are promised by China and the unlimited growth that is promised by China, maybe that juice is not worth the squeeze ultimately, depending on how you want to imagine these things.
Right.
I just find it fascinating that it seems there seems to be a line of conversation about this that is just like, well, what do you expect? The almighty dollar, am I right? When that, to me at least, seems to minimize some of the horrors that happened in China, up to and including actual concentration camps and stuff like
and
that.
murders
Beyond
of dissenters, and like, it's awful. Like, there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes that is bad. And so watching companies bend over backwards to maintain their market or their relationships so they can have access to a certain market is ugly. It's bad. It's not good. I just don't. This is always how it's been. I'm not saying it's always how it should be.
Is there a point that would make you so creeped out that you would want to pull back involvement with some of the stuff that you do? Because you do a lot with Blizzard.
Oh yeah,
Is there a point that you would say, I don't know, now this is weighing, now I'm making moral equivocations that I'm not comfortable with?
Oh, I'm feeling that now. Like that. See, this is where I don't want it to be confused. I'm upset about it in a very raw and personal way because I believe strongly in not only Hong Kong's desire to do what they're doing, but in their ultimate goal of independence and further, better democracies for more people and less oppression and all that stuff. I'm for all of it. And so, yeah, it's already a thing for me. Like, is it enough for me to go, that's it, never touch anything Blizzard does again, that's it, I'm out? I'm not doing that. I think there's more to be said. I think you mentioned the Google thing and how they kind of had to back off a little. They may have to do that here. I don't know. Like, enough pressure from enough people. That's how that sort of stuff gets done. So I'm sort of pro that too.
By the way, for those, I think we kind of rolled over this, but did you guys talk about this earlier in the show?
Not really, no. This is actually the first. I just knew I had a lot on Friday to worry about, so I haven't talked about it much until I was going to save it for then. But I'm happy to do it here. So anyway, go ahead, give us your.
Well, all right. So just for those for the folks who don't know, there was a Hearthstone player in an esports tournament who, during his, I think it was a victory, said that Hong Kong should be free and stand with democracy. The casters ducked under the desk so they could, I guess, avoid the verbal blast. It did not save them. Both the casters have been fired, and the player has been banned from competition, and all of his prize money was ordered back to Blizzard. So he is now persona non grata within the Hearthstone esports scene because he's from Hong Kong. He dared talk about Hong Kong fighting for democracy.
Yeah, the other controversy is that the two casters were kind of pressuring him to get it on tape.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. If you go watch the video and you listen to the translation, assuming the 2-3 sources I've read for the translation, they all seem to be consistent with each other. It appears that it was not coerced, but it was like, hey, we're encouraging you to make a statement about your thing, and he did that. Here's the other thing. So I don't know what the backsplash will be or the peripheral damage will be, if any, but Tencent owns all of Riot, who makes the world's biggest video game. Well, behind Fortnite now, but with League of Legends, they own a huge share of Epic, and Fortnite, they own all of a number of companies. And then those companies own other companies. Like, it's a big, the share of market that Chinese companies now own means that we may not be done with this conversation for a while.
Oh,
it's going to get weird.
Spoiler alert. We're not.
Yeah.
We're absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is China reminding everybody that, like, all right, well, look, what we bring to the table is a lot of money and infinite growth, because we have a lot of people in China, and they are rapidly becoming more and more wealthy and they have the ability to spend more than they had in the past. Also, China is the only place on earth where movie going is actually on the rise. People are building theaters in China. They are not building theaters here in America, where many of these movies originate. So China holds a lot of cards in their hand, and that is the bargain that they have is, okay, well, you can have all this, you can have all this money, you can have all this growth, but guess what? When we need to pull your chain, we're gonna pull your chain. And that's exactly what happened to Blizzard. It's what happened to the NBA. And I totally agree with you, Scott, that this is something that we are by no means done with.
Yeah, it'll go on for a while. It'll be interesting just to see if, like, there's rumors of protests at BlizzCon, which is what, in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah. That'll be a new thing there, other than the 2 or 3 Jesus people with their signs that show up and tell us how thralls
they're always there.
Yeah, those guys are always there. They just live there. So,
do you think that, as somebody who obviously has his finger on the pulse of kind of the Blizzard fan community, that this is something that Blizzard really needs to worry about, or is this just another gamer controversy that'll kind of come and go?
So here's the interesting. That's a great question. I think that this will not matter to players as much as when Blizzard does something else, like, let me put it this way. There will be more historical anger surrounding them releasing a news of a mobile version of Diablo and not Diablo 4 at last year's BlizzCon. That controversy, or layoffs controversy, or cancellation of giant projects controversy, I think will live larger in the minds of these gamers than this will. And that's a bummer, because I think that the energy should better be spent in this way, because that other stuff just is trying to, that other stuff just plays with gamers and their loyalties and their feelings of,
but also it's like, look, we are all defined by our self-interest. If I'm really excited for Diablo 4, and now I know that I'm not going to get Diablo 4 for another year, then that will make me more upset than the plight of somebody across the world, because people have been living in squalid tyranny across the world for many, many years, and they are indeed doing it as we speak. And it's not like that's the only thing we're talking about. We're talking about whether or not this will affect Blizzard as a company. So I think that the self-interest is at least psychologically understandable. But what is fascinating now is that I do think that a lot of these deals, and be it with China or Saudi Arabia, but a lot of these countries that are putting a ton of money into American media, now you're starting to see where the price tag of that is. And I do wonder whether or not going forward that becomes more of an issue for Blizzard, that like at the, it's like, all right, well, we'll go ahead and pull this dude because he did X, Y, or Z. Or I don't know. I guess I'm actually waiting for the Blizzard, the soft, sources from behind the scenes story of like, hey, look, this guy was explicitly told, and the casters were explicitly told that we wanted to keep this apolitical. It's not specifically the message. It's that he disregarded these this directive that we had. We would have pulled him if he would have started talking about how Trump should be reelected, because we want to make sure that this is apolitical. I'm waiting for that. That to me seems to be the natural Blizzard PR move.
100% with you. That is, if that's not coming, I would eat my hat. I'm sure that something to that effect is coming. And the truth is, it is in their terms when they sign these contracts with these guys. And the truth is, he broke it. What people are upset about is obviously, well, there should be exceptions for things that affect people's lives in this way. And I totally get their position. Sidian said something in the chat that I'm going to repeat that I think is interesting, because it's just good to get all sides of this. And that's why permanent growth corporate ideas are kind of unsustainable. And here's an example. He says Blizzard should have given China the bird, laid off every single employee in their now shuttered Chinese market, additionally laid off the legion of support staff that are stateside tanked their stock prices and made themselves obsolete right before falling on ceremonial swords. He's being sarcastic, obviously, but that's the reality of it. And the reality of it feels immoral. It feels immoral and also has its own subsections of moral questions of, is it the community staff's fault in Irvine that all this is happening? They have families, they have bills to pay, they have lives to live. They're doing great work. Should they have to fall on these same swords that the upper overlords are having to deal with? Like, that is part of these conversations every time when it comes to always have profits, always exceed those expectations. And that means when you run out of bodies in America, you move to Europe. And when you're out of those bodies, you move somewhere else. And when you're out of those bodies, you move to China. You exploit new markets. And by exploiting those new markets, you make concessions on certain kinds of freedoms or ideals. And it just keeps happening. And it's a pattern that's driven by, you can never stop making more money. Not that you can be small and sustain yourselves and be good. We have to just keep adding more and more on top of it. And I'm a free market dude. I am a big time believer in free market competition. But at some point, it's not sustainable without these problems. So that's the thing we just got to face as part of this.
Look, I mean, there is a question of ethics, right?
100%.
You can want to continue to feed the families of everybody that is there in Irvine. You can continue to want to give them raises. You can continue to want to put them on projects that will bring them prestige and growth, and not make deals with people that you feel are going to be, overarching in their control over your product or make your user base uncomfortable. Ultimately, every business does have to make those decisions. I mean, look, if all of a sudden, Scott Johnson and Frog Pants gets an email from a big some Chinese backed podcast company that says, hey, look, we really want to continue to bring American podcasting. It's exploding in China. Everybody loves listening to American podcasts. We want to all of a sudden, we can explode your growth. We can go from whatever you're currently doing on the morning stream, and we can have 10 million people tomorrow, every day, listen to the morning stream. And you're going to be compensated appropriately for that. But from here on out, and look, it's not going to be hard. It's not like the morning stream is Meet the Press. You guys don't talk about China all that much. We really just want to hear the hilarious stories of Scott, eating fast food in the parking lot, and Brian playing great American cover songs. So just no mentioning of China, no mentioning of voting, no mentioning of Hong Kong. 10 million people, and you're going to make money that is commensurate to that. That's something that you might be interested in, right?
Right. I mean, okay, I'll say this. First of all, you're kind of right. Second of all, here's the thing. I mean, we do that now. Like Brian and I we don't talk about politics till you come on, as an example. We just don't. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Not because it isn't important, not because it doesn't matter to us personally. It's because we know that the show is just going to become a giant touchstone of controversy if we did.
Sure.
And we don't want it to be.
Exactly.
We don't want it to be.
So by the way, dear listeners, understand that if Jerry goes away, it's because TMS is playing Shang.
See, this is how this stuff starts. Okay, but
this is how it works.
But this is what I'll say. In the same way that I want Romney to stand up to the president and vote a certain way, it's actually the same desire I would have for Blizzard to stand up to this.
Yeah.
And actually take the hit for it. I think it's worth taking the hit for morally and ethically. I think if they said, well, I guess we're out of China, fine, shut it all down over there, be done, take a giant hit, you would have huge layoffs. I still think it might be the right...
effectively, that means the end of Hearthstone. I mean, Hearthstone, I think, receded, I think, 10% in terms of user base in America. It exploded in China like 34% over the last quarter. And that is a trend that keeps going forward.
Yeah, so it may end it.
Blizzard saying, hey, we're out of China, or might mean the end of some of your favorite Blizzard products, or at least the way that we know them.
Right. Possibly. But all I know is I've known this company since I was 18 or 20 or whatever I was when they started. And I've followed this company all the way through all of the times of growth. And there was a time where they were a really great but small, tight studio that put out amazing experiences and sold tons of copies, and they weren't even in Asian markets at that time. And so it's not going to happen, because this isn't how corporate America or corporate world works, especially publicly owned companies. But it'd be great if they just said, we're cool with having 5 million WoW subscribers, and we're cool with maintaining the other IPs we have, and we make enough money to do that, and we can close down a bunch of stuff, and then we can be right here. But no one does that. Everybody wants to go more. There's no end to the more. And if you,
but also it's like, and then they turn their back on the Chinese players that really like them, but that have no interest in propping up their government and are the real victims of some of the things that we're going to get on our high horse and decry. We're going to say, well, like, okay, like, I do think that, look, I'm not here to make the argument that, like, all growth is bad, because I do think that that's the thing about a free market, is that you can overpump what you're looking to do. You can get too ambitious with what you're looking to do, and you can make a decision that's detrimental to your entire business, right? And you could make the argument that some of the expansion into China and taking that money and thinking that nothing was ever going to change was foolhardy by some of these companies. And by the way, these are the biggest companies that we deal with, specifically in terms of media. However, there is also the argument for Blizzard to say, hey, look, we have no interest in politics. We have no interest in some of these things. We are able to, like, with a few minor changes, let's go ahead and change the Jaina Proudmoore hero art to not show so much cleave, and we'll just go ahead and figure all that out. But other than that, we can easily bring everything that we do into China, because it is apolitical, and we can delight millions of players in China and show them what American ingenuity and creativity is. Like, I do understand that. I do think that that's real. I don't think I think it would be intellectually dishonest to say that that's not a part of why they want to continue to spread. Now, it also makes them a ton of money, but that's the point of the best moments in a business are when you are able to make a connection with users and also make a bunch of money. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. No, I think that's true. I mean, this is going to be the hard part, because if their stance is, look, none of this is about politics. We don't want politics in our tournaments and in our public events, and we just don't want it. Like, and that's why it's part of our TOS.
This also did happen at the worst time, because you have this NBA thing that's currently going. So it looks like that China is making a coordinated effort. By the way, I think they might be.
They might actually be doing
to make sure that they remind all of their American partners, hey, you like this money, right? I just want to make sure that you like this money, because this money doesn't come with many strings, but here's a few more strings. And by the way, we might be rolling out a few more of these strings over the next year or so.
Yeah, and speaking of changes that they would make for China, I don't know how much this fact is known, but one of my favorite weird things that ever happened in World of Warcraft's history, when they launched into the Chinese market, the Chinese were unwilling to accept it. It was going to be banned if they didn't turn all the undead, which is an entire race, an integral race of characters within the World of Warcraft. They all could not show any bones, because the way the models worked at the time is their arms ended here, you had a little bone showing, then the arms started up here. Their legs were kind of, some of the bones were showing. They're undead. They're literally, zombie people with brain, that are smart. And they wouldn't do it unless everybody turned into, just normal looking dudes, basically. And so they did that. Also, you can't show corpses on the ground in that game. So when you would go to a fight where you're fighting a huge world boss and everybody's dying like flies, instead of a bunch of bodies that would turn into bones after resurrection or after you went and ran back to your body, a whole ton of gravestones show up, because that's acceptable. So you already have these cultural exceptions, right?
Yeah.
And so
there was a whole thing about Ghostbusters that they had to change some element of the core plot of the newer Ghostbusters, because Chinese don't that ain't a funny, silly, spooky Halloween thing. Like the dead and spirits and bodies, they have a whole different point of view on that.
Right, exactly. Also, PUBG using crates instead of dead players. Someone in the chat, Codes from Home, just said that's true. That's another one of those that they did over there. So we already make those kinds of exceptions. we're willing to do. It's Blizzard's not saying. Nobody said, "Hey, Blizzard, you want to be in China? Make sure you go off those 2 dudes for me that are being trouble." It's not levels of that, but it just feels bad. It tastes bad. It's got a bad sour taste to it, and I hope that they do something. But I honestly don't have a ton of hope because none of these companies do anything. We gotta quit assuming. See, it's so funny. My argument about that sounds like your argument or your confusion about why I feel that way about Romney. And I guess I'm gonna hold Blizzard in that same regard. I want them to do the right thing here. But if they don't, then I'll be mad at them. But I'd still probably vote for Romney.
I totally think that the best that you could hope for from Blizzard is them to CYA on like, hey, look, this is not, oh my God, we are an American company with American values and we really care about freedom. We really care about democracy. This is just about the fact that we told this guy not to say a thing. He directly disobeyed this order, and so did the casters. And so it could have been about anything. This is not, it certainly is not about the fact that China is a massive partner for us, and it's our gigantic growth operation for Hearthstone, and Hearthstone might be dead.
It's also not reciprocal. You know what I mean? There's no reciprocation here. If Blizzard goes, we have decided, we've heard you, we've heard your voices, players, we've decided, we're pulling out of China. We do not support this regime. Thank you for your continued support. That doesn't suddenly mean a ton of American players are going to go, oh, Blizzard, I'm going to buy everything you make. I'm going to go sub to everything I already don't. That isn't going to happen. There's no reciprocation.
Well, because also there's like, now you have all these millions of Chinese players that are like, wait, what? Like, now we don't get to play. I had this whole deck set up. I spent all this money building up my Hearthstone collection, and now it's banned because Winnie the Pooh said so.
Yeah, here's my expectation. Regardless of what happens in the next few days, they're going to take a little hit on their stock price. They may already have, because it's just messy. So people are.
I'll tell you what, they would take a lot bigger hit on their stock price if they pulled out of China.
Yeah, they absolutely would. It'll recover. And players who say, well, I'm boycotting Blizzard will not do it in the numbers that'll make a dent, and that things will go on as usual. I guess what I'm saying is it's a complicated, messy, ugly thing that you can both disagree with and accept the realities of. That's kind of my bottom line on it. And Brian, yeah. I feel bad. We've left Brian like not talking at all, dude. I apologize.
It's okay. No, you can. Here's the thing. There's certain topics that we talk about on the show that I've got a little bit of knowledge of, and I can kind of pipe in and jump in when we talk about. This is one that I have not been following. I feel so ignorant about it, but I haven't been following it. So I'm kind of like, oh, really? Oh, wow. That's, interesting. Oh, really? Is that, I know about, like, I get the surface level news with the NBA and the controversy there. I have not gone any further deeper in there with the Hearthstone tournament, any of that stuff. So, yeah, basically, I am the Jon Stewart on The Daily Show eating popcorn meme.
Nice.
The only thing that I would hope that people get out of this, and both the NBA thing and the Blizzard thing, is just understand what's going on in China. China is a very fascinating partner that, by the way, like, we're gonna have to live with. We are on a global community, and we are ever more interconnected. We are going to have to learn to live with China.
Oh,
especially if we are in a situation where we don't want a global conflict that could end the planet. We would like to have a friendly, no two countries that trade together have ever gone to war, right?
Right.
Like that is usually the way that the precursor is. You want to have businesses deal over there. However, we are also at a point culturally where we are more aware of the things that are going on around us. And I think that is something that we do all need to reconcile. And I don't think that it helps that everybody kind of jumps to the most hyperbolic position that they possibly can. But it is something that I do think is a defining issue of our age, how we look at this kind of stuff for, in the lens of our own morals.
Yeah. And one final note, I did get an email this morning demanding that or basically saying, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to are you going to stop the instance and protest? And kind of basically saying that's what I should do. And I had to remind this person, and I would remind everybody else, the instance is not a wholly owned subsidiary of Blizzard in any fashion. They don't pay me anything.
No.
Right.
I don't work for Blizzard. They don't cut any checks to me ever unless they're paying for a service, and they've never, they've done that once. Last year when I was on stage for a hosting gig, a contract gig that started and ended. The idea of me ending a show that could actually have a very positive, or at the very least informative back and forth discussion about this very issue and have it move with the issue, I don't see how that's a thing you'd want to silence anyway. So
well, no.
Hell no.
Look, the instance is a Blizzard community podcast. That means that there is a community there that could operate independent of Blizzard.
Yeah.
Like there might be people that stop listening, but you could say, hey, look, we're just not going to cover Hearthstone anymore. Because you want to know what? Like, that's just something that we're, not to say that you would do this or you should do this, but you could, right? You could say, we're just not going to cover this because I don't agree with the operations of the company, and I just want to move on. I want to cut off that element, and people might stop listening to the show. You would risk that, but that would be a decision that you would make. You could out and say, I'm not covering any Blizzard stuff. In fact, from here on out, we're only talking about things that happened pre this date. And you would have the ability to continue to do that show because you have the right to continue to talk to the community that has gathered around the instance. Your lens of how much and how you want to cover Blizzard is totally up to you. Dare I say it's the reason why people listen.
Yeah, why else? It's just a silly suggestion. And so, no offense to that guy if he's listening, but that was a weird thing to say. I assume you were tired, you hadn't had your coffee yet, and you hadn't thought it through, because that was a dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
All right, before jury goes, this has all been great and fascinating. Yeah. Maybe one of our best discussions ever. I do want to say this. I've been looking at dreambible.com all during the show and giving people interpretations of certain things that they might find in their dreams. And I looked up the word jury. So I'm going to tell you what the dreambible.com says, that if a jury appears in your dreams.
Can I make a guess?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, make it quick because I forgot to bring in my power cord and I got 3% left.
Okay, go, Brian.
Drop out
go.
At any
What are you going to say, Brian?
I'm just going to say it has to do with something about being judged, but please go ahead.
All right, maybe. To dream of jury represents feelings of scrutiny from others, feeling dependent on other people's opinions about you or your actions, feeling that winning or future progress is totally dependent on someone else's feelings about you, feeling that you can't do something if others don't like you, a need for an approving consensus. And so I would only say to that, this.
The jury will now retire.
Have a good one. Thanks for your 3%. Oh, pimp. Give us a pimp. What's going on? Anything?
Yeah, go politics. Just go ahead and find that. And also, if you haven't gotten on my free political newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com, it is available 5 days a week, 5 stories a day, mostly gifts, sometimes hot takes. Bye.
Of course, that was referring to a judge and jury type jury. Just for the record.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you find a Justin in there,
whatever.
Actually,
still feel just as judged when he's on the show.
I did do he makes you cry, it says here, if it's actually Justin. He'll judge you and make you cry.
That's right. Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Nobody cried last night. Wow.
Oh, interesting. There's a whole listing on potatoes. To dream of potatoes represents complications or hurdles, something in your life that requires work or brings difficulties. I'm starting to think this is basically just a bunch of fortune cookie things.
Oh, are you? Now it's
it's bad.
Now it's hitting you.
Yeah. Just now.
Yeah. Now it's hitting you.
Yeah. Now it's all making sense. This is all a bunch of horse shit. All right. Hey, that's the show, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's a little longer today, but that's how it goes on Tuesdays. Very happy to be here and have done it for you. In fact, if you like what we do here, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/TMS. It's important if you want to see this kind of content continue to go over there and support us. There's some great levels and some cool stuff being shipped physically and digitally to you fine folks every month. Big thanks to those who already do. Go take advantage of our poor decision to make this a monthly Patreon for 16 episodes.
Take advantage of us, please. Yeah. We beg you.
16 episodes of content for measly amounts of money. You just need to take advantage of it. So patreon.com/TMS is the place. For everything else, frogpants.com/TMS. Brian will now regale us with a musical selection that only he can do. What do you have?
Regaling. Some regaling. Yeah, this is a fun one, and it's one of these that there's like some misinformation out there about, but excited to talk about this one. Jeremiah says, so I called in over a year ago telling you about my mom had colon cancer. Now, after a year and having 18 inches taken out of her colon and a colostomy, she seems to be cancer-free, so I feel very strong. Can you play Popeye the Sailor Man because he's strung to the finish? Love the show though. Signed, Jeremiah. Love it. Congratulations, Jeremiah, and also please pass on our congratulations to your mom as well. That's great news. The one he requested is Popeye the Sailor Man by MXPX. Now this is one of those things where information gets thrown around online, and for a while there, every parody song that you found on Napster was by Weird Al Yankovic, just because, oh, it's a parody, it must be by Weird Al Yankovic. And even Richard Cheese has some beef about that. This cover that you're about to hear of Popeye the Sailor Man is not by MXPX, as you might find on some information sites. It is by a band called Face to Face, and it comes on a CD called Saturday Morning Cartoons Greatest Hits, which came out in 1995. I have the CD. It says Face to Face. There might be, I think there might be a couple people there that might be the same between the two bands, but this is not MXPX.
Nice.
This is Popeye the Sailor Man by Face to Face, going out to Jeremiah and his mom.
See you guys tomorrow.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com.
Bastion has a cock.
Oh. Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Didn't realize that exactly, but
wow.
Thanks, Patrick. All right, patrons, we're back to you now. It's like a whole show.
Hi,
passed.
patrons.
Yeah.